What's up, guys? September, the fishing's been awful lately, but I'm here at one of my favorite little lakes in Central Arkansas. I drove about 2.5 hours this morning to get here, so hopefully they're biting and we can get some big fall bass in the boat, so stay with me. Okay guys, so I haven't been to this lake since June, and so I'm gonna have to locate them this morning. I have no idea where they are, and normally in the summertime or in the spring, I like to start shallow and work my way out to deeper water. But in the fall, I normally like to start out deeper and then work my way shallow when I'm trying to find fish. That's because in the summertime, these fish will be sitting on their offshore structure spots, and the biggest fish in the lake are gonna be offshore. And so in the fall, all the big fish are going to be starting on the main lake and on those deep ledges, and then move back into the creeks as the fall progresses. So we're going to start offshore first, and hopefully we can put some big fish in the boat. If not, we'll run up shallow and catch some fish schooling on some shad. Okay, so pulled up my first spot here. I'm just sitting on the edge of a ledge in about 20 to 24 feet of water. As you can see, it's just slick calm out. So I'm gonna start off by throwing a 10-inch worm in some deep brush piles. This is one of my favorite ways to catch them in late August, early September. And so hopefully I can find some fish out here. If not, we can always move shallower. Got him. Get the marker buoy out. There we go. Oh, marker buoy's not going down. There we go. Get up here, fish. There we go. That didn't take too long. Probably about 20 minutes fishing on this ledge. I actually caught another little guy too, but it's a nice little 2 1/4 pounder. Look at that thing. Really nice. Just fished about 2 or 3 brush piles, caught one there, a little one, and then finally just got one here on this end of this really big flat. Actually, I'm sitting in about 27 feet of water, and the brush pile is up in about 22, so pretty deep. Not exactly the size fish I'm looking for, but I'm gonna stick with this pattern for a little while longer, and maybe I can get some bigger ones. So nice fish. Look at this too. See, I try to get a, when I set hook on the fish, I try to drop a marker buoy, but for whatever reason, it just didn't go overboard, but whatever. Now I'm right up on top of that brush pile too, which is just great. But normally when I hook a fish offshore, what I try to do is take one of these marker buoys, kick it off over the side of the boat so I can have a position where my boat was, but didn't work out so well that time. Dang it. But I don't think I drifted up too far on this thing, but all I'm doing is just throwing a little 10-inch worm with a 1/2 ounce tungsten slip sinker, and I'm just dragging it really slow in some deep brush piles. And these are actually a lot deeper than I fish even in the summertime out here. In the fall, like I was saying earlier, these fish actually can get deeper than they do in the summertime. And so right now I'm fishing really deep, 22 to 25 feet of water, and I have a lot of brush piles in this lake. They go from 4 feet of water up super shallow all the way out here to 30 feet. So I'm just gonna kind of hit a bunch of different depth ranges today, because in the fall these fish just spread out everywhere, and it's really hard to kind of pin them down. But I've got a few bites out here super deep, so maybe that'll be the deal today. But I'm looking for about a 5-pounder, so if I don't catch any more in the next, hour, I'm probably gonna move up just a little bit shallower. And that bait too is just sitting there in the heart of that brush pile, and I just was dead sticking it there. I wasn't moving it around a lot, just crawling it through those branches. And in September, these fish just get really lethargic. Oh, really hard to catch. You just saw my bait was sitting right there. Just crushed it. Look at that. Gosh darn it. I don't know if that was a good one or a big one, but they're definitely fishing these brush piles. Let me put a new worm on. And this worm right here is the deal, guys. It's a 10-inch Zoom Old Monster in the plum apple color. And when the fishing gets tough and you just need to put a fish in the boat when you're fishing offshore, tie one of these things on. You're gonna get a ton of bites, and they catch big fish too. I've caught tons of 7 and 8 pound bass on this thing. So this is my go-to offshore bait in the fall. There he is. Got him. This is a good one. That's not a bad one. There we go. It's a chunk right there too. There's a bunch of fish in this brush pile. Just that's 3 casts in a row now. Not a big one, but look how chunky. This fish are just super stocky. They gotta be feeding up on shad or something down in those brush tops. But all these fish too have like mud on the bottom of their belly, which is really weird. You would think in the September and in the fall they'd be suspended chasing shad, but these fish really got this guy. Yeah, these fish are on the bottom for some reason. You can actually see the mud down there on his tail. So this worm is definitely the right call today. So to give you guys a better idea of what I'm fishing right now, here's an image of this spot on my side scan using my Humminbird unit. And as you can see, this brush pile is pretty big. It's probably about 10 feet across, and it's sitting in about 21 to 22 feet of water. And if we actually look at it on down scan, you can actually see the individual fish in this brush pile. All those little white dots at the top of that brush pile, those are all these bass. And there's not that many big ones in there actually, so we're probably gonna have to change areas to find a little bit bigger fish, but for right now it's pretty fun catching all these fish. So now I want to go through the gear I was using today in a little more detail. Again, I was throwing the 10-inch Zoom Old Monster in the plum apple color. And this is the only color I actually carry in this worm. And for whatever reason, it works in any water clarity. And I've caught them in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, a bunch of different states on this color. And normally I'll just fish this bait in the summertime and in the early fall. And it really shines in that September and October time when those fish get a little bit tougher to catch and when they stop biting the deep diving crankbaits and the football jigs. And for the way I'm rigging this up, I'm throwing it on a 5/0 Gamakatsu extra wide gap worm hook, and I'm rigging it up with a 1/2 ounce tungsten slip sinker, and I'm actually pegging that sinker with a little bobber stop, and I feel like that helps the bait just get through the brush piles a little bit easier. And for my rod and reel, I'm throwing a 7'4" heavy action bait casting rod, and I always throw a 7'4" heavy with my big worms, and I'm just throwing a 6:3 gear ratio reel with 15-pound fluorocarbon line. I also always go with 15-pound fluorocarbon. For whatever reason, it just seems to have that right balance of strength, plus it doesn't spook the fish that much. So that's the setup I like to use with my big worm, and so let's get back to fishing. Okay, so this deep stuff has a bunch of fish on it, but I'm not really getting the quality I'm wanting, so I'm gonna move up a little bit shallower, maybe up into 10 to 15 feet of water, and see if there aren't any bigger fish up in that little bit shallower water. Well, couldn't get anything going on those shallower brush piles. I had that one good one come off, but that's it. Fished a lot of tops in anywhere from 15 up to 5 feet of water, but I still think the fish have made it up there quite yet. Water temps are still 78 to 80 degrees. But before I head back out to those deep brush piles, I'm actually going to fish down this shady bank real quick. There always seems to be a group of fish in the fall that move up right after the first cold nights of the year, and we've had a couple nights in the 40s and 50s over the last couple weeks, so there might be a few fish that actually pull up on this kind of steeper shady bank. So I'm gonna try that real quick, and then we'll probably head back out to those deeper brush piles. So I fished down this bank here and I didn't get any bites. I'm not really that surprised. I think a lot of these fish are still offshore a little bit deeper, so I'm gonna head back out to those deeper brush piles and try to put a few more fish in the boat. So let's go. Got him. Get up here, fish. Oh, came off. Just came back to these exact same brush piles I was catching them on earlier, and that one came off. It was just a little 1.5 pound, but these fish are definitely out here on these deeper brush piles. Got him. Get up here, fish. It's a better one. Oh man, he was way out there. That fish must have been up on top of the drop. Made a long cast. Okay, not a big one, but just a nice one. Little 2-pounder. So they're definitely liking this 10-inch worm, and I think this is definitely a technique that would work on any lake that has deep water. As long as you have some brush or some rock down on the edge of a main lake flat, this 10-inch worm is going to work in the fall. It's going to put a lot of fish in the boat. So definitely try it out next time you go to your home lake. Hopefully you'll catch a few bigger fish than what I'm catching today, but either way, it's still pretty fun. Well guys, I'm gonna call it a day. Had a lot of fun catching fish on this big worm offshore. Didn't catch any giants, but fishing's been really tough here in Arkansas lately. The temperatures haven't cooled off enough for these fish to really move back in the creeks and move up shallow. Hopefully that weather will cool down and the fish will start biting. I'll catch some bigger fish in the future. But in the meantime, when the fishing's tough, go to these big worms or that shaky head like I did in that last video, fish offshore, and you'll at least be able to put a few fish in the boat. So hope you enjoyed this video and learned something about how to catch fish in this fall transition period. And if you enjoyed, hit like and subscribe down below, and also leave a comment if you have any questions about what I was doing. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.